Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Family Fortune. It's me, your girl, Lashana.
I'm Malcolm. Hi, y'all.
Every single time. And we're excited to bring to you an episode that we've been looking forward to since forever, since like season 1. And that is talking about investments.
Mm-hmm.
And who do we have with us today to school us, to educate us? None other than the
investor,
Cliff McGee. Say hey.
Hey. How y'all doing today?
Deacon.
I'm sorry, Deacon.
Cliff McGee.
Deacon Cliff McGee.
Hey, man.
Vice chair.
Vice chair. That's funny. It's funny. Yes.
Yep.
But wow, investments. I have to admit that I have been investing, and I do the air quotes for that, investing since forever. Mm-hmm. But do I know what I'm doing? Nope. Not even a little bit.
Nope.
I just, listen to other people and what they say, but I don't want to be just one of the ones that just follow somebody.
No, what I've done in the past when it came to investing, and which is why have been looking forward to a conversation like this, is I got on the app, an investment app, didn't know what I was doing, and I just started buying stuff, buying a couple shares here, and this was during COVID, and so I was one of those Moderna Pfizer buyers, and that's how was pretty much my introduction to it. And I saw what happened. The stock of it went up very quickly because of the vaccines and stuff like that. And there was some other things going on. I think Delta price went down and people were buying it then, and that kind of spiked my interest on investing and how to really get more involved in this. And so if you could, Deacon, tell me a little bit about your history about, when it comes to investing. Like, how'd you get involved in it?
Probably when I was maybe 16 years old. So we got to go way back. Okay, that's where it started.
I wasn't going to say that.
That's where it started. So I had a pretty lucrative grass cutting business. And I had saved up maybe a couple $1,000s. And, this was a time in the 1970s where everybody was talking about getting into some stocks. Mm-hmm. I said, well, I want to do that. So I took my $2,000-something downtown. And basically the investment, people laughed at me. Said our minimum investment is $25,000.
Goodness.
So
wow.
That started me on my journey.
Oh, okay.
I started reading books and said, I'm not letting them defeat me like that.
Come on now.
And so I wanted to be in that groove, in the mix, make me some money. So for, next couple of years, I was reading, joined the Army, and I really hit the ball when I started teaching people how to invest in mutual funds, because I had learned how to do that.
And see, we will have to circle back to some of these terminologies that have been thrown out there, but keep going with your story.
Yeah, so, that's kind of started me, and for the next 20-some years, I started talking to people, teaching them some basic things.
So you're self-taught, but you've been in the business, you've been in the game so long that you're an expert. Would you call yourself an expert? I would call you an expert.
I'm leaning toward that. Yes, I'm leaning toward that. So much that I don't know, and I don't want to know it. So to be honest, I think I'm heading down the path for where I need to be.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. So let's circle back to at least two terminologies that were thrown out there and get your take on it. One of them, what is a stock?
So basically a stock is something that a company like Apple has. They have these stocks, these shares of their company.
Pieces of their company.
Yes,
okay.
Portions of them. And they want to raise money, so they offer these pieces out to the public to buy so that they can raise money for their company. And so when we buy it, we are what you call a shareholder of Apple. And so Apple attempts to grow their company with all of this extra money they've raised through selling their stocks. Okay. And they were willing to pay us for its growth. As they grow, we grow.
Okay. See, I understood that.
I did understand
I
that.
understood that.
But you know, when it comes to like investing in a company, so the first thing I thought about the way you were describing that is like you buying a share in a company to support whatever they're doing. But then I'm thinking about something like Netflix, where I have a subscription to it, in which they also are getting my money. The only thing I'm getting in is entertainment out of it. And so when you buy a share, you have it until you essentially sell it. And you would sell it when it's
Under what circumstances would you sell it?
Let's go back to that one because now the second definition. Well, no, we can go to that because we're still talking about stocks. The second definition, which we'll get to and you can think about, is what is a mutual fund. Okay. But
so when what does that mean when you're? I think we was talking about this yesterday. When you are a shareholder or you're buying a piece of the company, but you don't necessarily own the company. You're like, what is your power as a shareholder in some sort of sense? Like,
that's a good question.
Yeah.
You do have some power. You own a piece of the company. As minimum as it may be, you're going to get statements in the mail. You have voting rights. So, your 10 shares have the ability to vote for what's going on with the company.
Okay.
Company may want to sell a portion of itself to someone else. So they have to get the shareholders' approval for that. So you'll get a proxy in the mail and say, hey, do you vote yes or no for this sale or this breakup or whatever they may be trying to do.
Okay.
But shareholders have value.
Yeah.
They treat you somewhat good because they want your money.
Because if you all of a sudden decide to sell your piece of it, then the company itself loses money as well too, or loses that money that they rely on for growth and what have you.
Well, that's a little more complicated because when you sell yours, somebody will be right there to grab it up.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not really, you have that much impact. Yeah. Now, unless you have, 5 million of the 6 million shares available, then you get catered to, and then you make an impact.
Okay.
So last question on shares is, what would you be I think we was kind of talking about this advising thing that you didn't like, but what would you say is, if for somebody that's getting started, how much should they be investing into any company? Like, how would you even get started with that?
Okay, let me kind of back up a little bit.
Okay.
So investing. Let's start from the beginning. Okay.
Where my pen?
Yeah. Education. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
Get educated on what investing is about. There's plenty of books out there. There's plenty of online courses. There's plenty of self-paced courses. There's plenty of advisors like me to talk to get you started. And then you want to kind of set some objectives. Think about what you're trying to do. Everybody's not trying to invest to build wealth. Some people are investing to buy a home in 10 years or put their kids through college in the next 15 years. So you have these different objectives, and so get on that path to meet that objective.
That's good.
Once you kind of
I know people don't even consider that. They just like, I want to get in the stock market, blah blah blah. But then tell them to ask themselves why. What is your why for going into the stock market or into investing? That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So you get these objectives set, and then your time horizon. I kind of touched on that. How long are you willing to go towards that objective? Is it a 5-year objective? Is it a 10-year objective? Today at this point in my life, my objective is long term, lifetime.
And that's key too as well, because there's a lot of those get rich quick or fast bucks that you can make, which I guess is great, but is it sustainable?
Yes, that's so true, because, trying to make a fast dollar is not, it's like the casino, they have the money.
Yeah.
And so in the case of the stock market, you're up against all your peers. That's what makes the stock market go up and down. It's the population that owns the stocks. It's the way they feel on a particular day based on the news they've heard.
That's good.
So if there's some bad news, things usually start tanking.
People are selling, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the sentiment of everybody that owns that particular stock. That's how the market works, you know, based on how you feel as a shareholder.
Okay.
So, you know, when things are good, you got a nice CEO, or, you know, you just developed a new product, and we all feel good about that. What are we going to do? We're going to buy more and more of that share, which is going to cause that price to go up. So that's kind of really basic on how shares go up and down. The sentiment of the people that own the shares is the way the stock market works. There's no simpler way to do it.
I like that. I am like totally understanding this whole
Yes,
conversation.
I really am too.
So,
I like it. I feel like I'm a little bit more more knowledgeable than I was when I first started. So, you know, I've heard the saying buy low, sell high, and that's probably true, I'm sure, because you don't want to spend more for a stock than you need to. But you also mentioned something about long-term investing. What exactly does that mean? Like, don't be so quick to sell? Is that what you mean?
yeah, you know, my philosophy is I set objectives. So if I buy something today, I'm already determining how much I'm willing to let it lose, and maybe 25%. I think that's my number. So then I'm getting antsy and I'm ready to sell it. But my upside is 50%. So it stops you from being emotional when things start going up and down. It stops you from being greedy when it starts rising. You know, so you set a clear objective on which way you're willing to go. I'm willing to go 25 down and 50 up.
Okay.
So when it approaches those numbers, I'm already have that set that I'm going to get rid of it, or one way or the other.
Now, quick question. When you say 25 down, you're talking 25% below what you actually purchased. Do you let it stay at that for a set period of time, or as soon as it hits below 25, you like gone? Or is it just like you said, it just depends?
It's a feeling, yeah.
It just depends.
It's kind of right, yeah.
But that's a good those are good parameters to set.
Yeah.
I never even thought about that.
And I think you must do that initially, in the beginning. You know, I talk to people about doing things in the beginning so there's no surprises to you.
Right.
So if you know that what's going to happen, you don't get nervous and try to be reading this stuff every day, and you're at the whim of what's going on in the news.
That's good. That's good.
And so, you know, and you put your money in there, you know how much you're willing to take out, and you know how much you're willing to lose. You know, the key thing about investing in growth, I like to do it simple. Like, I take $1. And if I've earned 50 cents on that dollar, I've earned 50%. I deal in percentages. If I got $1 and I win and I gain $1, I done gained 100%.
Wow.
So to me, that's powerful. It's not the dollar that I earned, it's the percentage I earned, 100%. Where else are you going to get 100% on anything?
Wow.
Yeah.
Think about that. So that's my terminology when it comes to, you know, winning or gaining. You know, I just don't think about the dollar amount. I think about the percentages.
Question. How does one, you know, you can just speak generically, how does one know which even stocks to buy or to invest in? Like, one thing that I learned, or what was taught to me, and it may be different for other people, is invest in what you use.
Okay.
You know, start, you know, as a startup, invest in what you use or what occupies your time the most. So when I initially started, you know, I was a Coke drinker, so I bought some Coke. Not that Coke, but the drinking Coke.
Yeah, the drink Coke, yeah. I got you.
And then I also was, I love the Johnson & Johnson products, you know, so I bought some Johnson & Johnson. You know, it was invest in what you know and what you use, and especially those stocks that's been around for a minute, and then you know they ain't going nowhere.
Right.
So is that something that you, when you speak to others about, do you say that, or do you tell them just go with your gut?
Yeah, honestly, that's how I really started. My first stock that I bought was Harley Davidson. And, not that I ride motorcycles, and back in them days, Harley Davidson riders were a bunch of hippie looking guys, mean looking guys, and the motorcycles were loud. But, it was a lot of them. And so, I looked at this, from a psychology standpoint, I'm like, if these guys riding them, and I'm sure they own them, I'm going to own them.
Right.
But, you can't go wrong with starting with buying something you're familiar with. Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, the products you use, the things you see every day. I don't have a problem with that. But as you grow and invest in, you have to learn how to start doing some basic fundamental things by looking at these companies. And, but that could take 10, 15 years to learn how to do that. So in the meantime, you just got to get advice and talk to people like me and others, say, hey, what do you think about this stock? I'm going to talk to you about, who's running the company, are they making money? I mean, we think they're making money, but we can always look at the charts and see if they're making money.
So you're saying, even if you choose to invest in what you know, do your research still into that company.
You must. Eventually, you're going to have to do your
research to know whether or not they're stable. Yeah. Even if they've been around for a long time, are they still going to be around for a long time? Right. Are they trying to venture into things that will cost more money? Yeah. So just do your research.
You got to do some research because, things like the president of the company can have adverse effects,
As we all know, we ain't going to mention no names.
Run off with the money. Yeah. So, and the signs that lead to a lot of that.
Yes.
So I think that what you buy, that's a hard one, unless, you just start doing these fundamental things like determining if sales are going good, determining if they're earning, revenues off of those sales, if they're in a lot of debt, some basic things that I look at to determine if I want to buy something. And I want to kind of at this point, I want to kind of get back to Malcolm. He asked how much. So the company you're interested in, the first thing I always advocate is dollar cost averaging. So you want to be able to give a portion of your money that you can afford to put into investment. This is not money you're going to need because your objective says I'm going to go for the next 20 years. So if that's $25, that's $25. I don't care. I'm going to tell you to take action. So you're putting this $25 in here, and you have to do it regularly, monthly, at the minimum. $25 monthly for the next 20 years, it's going to meet your objective because you did some basic mathematics.
So, real quick question. You say 25 monthly, as in buying a share, $25 in that same company for 25 years?
Or you can split the $25 up into
because like
five companies.
Like the different investing companies, because I think when I started, I started with E-Trade.
Okay.
And I picked 5 companies, the 5 companies, and whatever I deposited each month into E-Trade, I could allocate how much I wanted it to be split, like 5, 5, 5, 5.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Yeah, and so you divide the money, or you determine how you're going to put it in there, and you do that regularly. Because there's this theory, that with dollar cost averaging, in the beginning, you're going to buy more shares of something at the lower prices than at the end. For example, you may be putting $5 into something today, and the share costs $5. So you're buying, one complete share today.
Okay.
A year from now, that share is now $10. So the $5 you are buying had started with is only buying a half a share at $10. So all this time that is built up to the $10, you've been buying these at least one share. But then, as prices go up, the less your dollar has value or strength to buy a complete share. Mm-hmm. So that's the theory. Basically, that's why you want to start early, put your money in there, and get it while it's low for as long as it's low, because eventually it's going to go up. Mm-hmm. And you would have bought more shares at the lower price than you will at the higher price. So do it regularly. Do it regularly. Don't put some money today and see what it's going to do. Because you will have lost out on potentially some profits.
Right. So, all right. So we got a share. That's an individual share. I'm assuming a mutual fund is like, I've heard of like groups of people buying a share into something. Is that what a mutual fund is?
That's basically it. Yes, that's great, okay. Because you, me, Shonda, we're all mutually interested in a company, okay. Apple. So Apple has this mutual fund where they're allowing us to come in there and mutually purchase this company. And that's just basically as simple as a mutual fund is. They manage it. They run it. It's just a bunch of us that are mutually owning that company versus a stock where, you individually own it. A mutual fund takes in multiple people to mutually own that particular share.
Okay, I never knew that. I don't know what I thought. I thought a mutual fund was, because I have a mutual fund, okay. So I'm like, I did something with my money. I don't even know what it is. I thought it was, it's a conglomerate, so to speak, or a collective of different entities.
Yeah. Technology, for example, might have some Apple in there, some Google.
And that's the fund I'm in. It's not me and 3 other people investing. It's me investing in this
group of companies.
It's not just you, though. It's us. It's all of us. Mutually. We mutually own that bucket of stocks.
Okay.
So all right. So now that added something to what I was thinking what it is. Okay, so now whenever I look at the news and I see the little ticker at the bottom, S&P or Dow is up or down, I'm like, so are those mutual groups? Like what are those?
Okay, those are indexes. Those are buckets. Those would be, this S&P 500 is a bucket of the top 500 companies in America. Okay. And so that index, this was what I was talking about, the barometer, but it gauges how these 500 companies are doing. Mm-hmm. The S&P 500. So when it says the S&P 500 went up 1%, something out of that 500 companies caused it to go up 1%. It's not to say that the whole bucket went up 1%. A portion of it, because some going to lose, but overall that bucket is at 1%. Okay. Same thing with the Dow. It's the 100 largest companies in America. And so when these companies, this bucket of companies, how it goes is how that index goes. It's just a barometer. It's a gauge to let us know how the top 100 companies in America are doing on a given basis.
I did a portion of my monthly investment to the S&P and then to
the S&P index.
Yes, the S&P 500, and then there was another one, QQ.
NASDAQ. Okay, QQ. Yeah.
And because I'm like, I had no idea, and so I was like, okay, that seems like it looks good, it was more like a spin the wheel thing, but. I admit I jumped into it not knowing what I was jumping into because it was the thing to do. You should be investing. Okay, I'll invest, but no one, and the only thing's on me because, like you said, I have to do my own research. I wish I knew back then what I'm learning and know now. Good gracious! I didn't know what the S&P 500 was. I just knew it was the S&P 500. I didn't know it was the top 500 companies. I did not know the Dow was the top 100. I did not know that. I just knew it was something I invested in. And that's sad on my part. Hush.
Well, no. That's what this podcast is here for. It's financial literacy. We're learning a little bit about something today. Yeah, we're students.
Yeah, we're all students. I'm still a student. I just believe, you have to set a path. Mm-hmm. And, you're not going to learn all the basic technical aspects of investing. You're not even really going to learn the fundamental things. But if you get on that path to get started, and get you some education to start with and show some interest. You got to be willing, to show interest in it. Mm-hmm. Okay. And, it's a boring subject.
I wouldn't say it's boring. It's so technical that
boring.
Unless you're something is passionate, because, I know some passionate people, they will talk your head off for hours about it. And I'm just like, what are you saying? Because you lost me at investment. But I do agree. You got to be passionate.
You and I have talked.
Yeah, we've talked.
You asked me to tone it down, and I'm not as passionate as I could be. But I'm involved in different activities when it comes to investing, and I listen to my peers, and it's time consuming. So when it's time consuming, it gets boring because you got to hear these terms. But gives me the opportunity, yeah. And I'm going to back up a little bit too. The reason why the education is important in investing is because, like anything, you want to learn the language.
Right.
So we learn English. Mm-hmm. So we speak English because that's how we communicate with one another. You're talking to somebody about investing, you got to be able to talk to them about the right terms.
Because I'm still trying to figure out where the bear market is and the bull market and all them other markets.
Those are, listen, I was literally thinking to myself, this we're going to have to bring Cliff back because that is going to be some homework stuff that we're going to have to give him. You're going to have to explain some of this, sir.
Yeah.
But
this will be a part, like the other episode, this will be a part 2 to this. Don't worry. But...
Is there anything else you would like to?
Well, no, I know we talked about before we actually started filming, like one of the good ways to get educated, if you're like me, like I know more now because of it than I did when I actually started investing, because there's some accountability on my part. Right. When it was just me, there was no accountability, but investment clubs. Mm-hmm. You and I both belong to one, not the same one. I've been trying to get over there to his for a minute, but I'm gonna get there. But that's a good tool too, right?
Yeah, investment clubs. Now that I really advocate, for beginners, and that's basically all I do now. Mm-hmm. That's all I do. I first got involved about 30 years ago. My brother came to me and said, "Hey, let's start this investment club." And he was a sailor and I was a soldier. And we formed a club out in Hawaii. And that kind of got me started with this club thing. But what I like about the clubs is, we work together and we hold each other accountable for doing the homework. Mm-hmm. It's not a passive
It is not
club. It's, you're not going to get by. And it's because clubs aren't designed to just take your money and let you sit back and see it grow. I'm not going to let you. Like you got to put in the work.
I was like, oh, I could join this and I ain't got to do nothing. Yeah. No,
we're gonna
you got to do some work.
But the benefit is, again, you're going to have different levels of expertise, or you may not. But one of the benefits I have is I got involved in a club, and I'm the only one that knew something. Mm-hmm. And and it's been 2 years, but it's been it's growing. People starting to talk the language because I'm an advocate of learning the language. Mm-hmm. We're starting to see the stocks grow, and and it gives me joy to see that the group has caught on.
Yeah.
And the great thing is we have the 3 different generations of people. So now it kind of lives up to when I'm gone, the next one can take over, and then the next one can take over.
That's the one thing I love about it is the accountability, because I admit I was happy going along in my ignorance, just giving people my money here and not knowing exactly what they were doing with it or how they were actually picking stock or doing investment. Right. But now that's on me and the rest of the people in the group to to find the stocks, to do the research, to know the language, and then make a determination as a group whether or not this is something that fits. I like it.
And you feel pretty good about, well, I did some research on something, I made a recommendation, and they said buy it. And, that's a great feeling.
Yeah.
But, on the flip side, as much as I've done, I make recommendations to my club and they don't buy them. I'm like, what's wrong with this? So so you got different people that have different philosophies and objectives going on themselves. And so I like that club concept because they kind of check you and, they educate you. They're still giving you tips you may not have known about. So that's kind of the great thing about the club. And I advocate, if you ever have an opportunity, there's different ways you can join different clubs. They all around the place.
Okay. So, because I already know we're going to have a part 2, but to wrap up or sum up this session, we learned a little bit about stocks, what a stock is. It's you kind of own a piece in the company. We learned about mutual funds. We learned about investment clubs. We learned about do your homework, do your own homework. And I know there's a lot more. What else did we learn about? We learned
set
about
objectives.
That's the main one.
Determine your horizon, how long you're willing to do something. Yes. But one thing as we wrap it up too is you got to determine how much you're willing to risk.
Yep.
Risk is a very important factor that's up there high. Because if you're not going to be risky, you don't need to be in risky stocks. Yes. So that's where you got to learn whether a stock is going to be risky.
How much are you willing to lose?
Yes. And I go by the rule of 100. You're 70 years old, okay, for example. 70% of your money needs to be in safe. 30% can be in risky.
Ah.
Okay. I have an 8-year-old grandson. I got him in the stock market. 92% of his money is risky.
Because of his age.
Yes.
Ah, gotcha.
That's the rule of 100.
Gotcha. Did you write this down? Oh, I'm going to get it.
It's recorded.
It's recorded.
I can have this whole thing transcribed.
Yeah. So that's a good start for your risk tolerance right there.
That is so, I just feel like there's a light bulb sitting on the top of my head right now.
You feel good.
It does. I was just operating in my ignorance, and I'm not going to do that anymore.
No.
Okay, so we're going to have you back. We don't know when we're going to get you back, but we're going to have you back because there's more we going to go a little deeper then.
I'll bring some stocks with me. How's that?
See, I'm ready. But until we come back again with Deacon Cliff McGee, I am LaShawna.
I am Malcolm.
And I'm Cliff.
And I think we're all on the road to investing. Until then, see you again on The Family Fortune. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.